Hi, brothers and sisters. We're going to do a final video. I think this will be for 8th Day Dawning, other than repost, because it was just so fun to think of when I hit upon it, and I thought, wow, you know, for anybody who hasn't hit on it, it's really telling. It's really interesting. So, you know what? Let's just look at it. It shouldn't be a very long video. Let's read what we find in Numbers 22 going on. The Lord tells Balaam, what does the Lord tell Balaam? It says, and God came unto Balaam, this is Numbers 22, verse 20, and God came unto Balaam at night and said unto him, if the men come to call thee, rise up and go with them, but yet the word which I shall say unto thee, thou shalt thou do. And Balaam rose up in the morning and saddled his ass, and he went with the princes of Moab. Rise up and go with them. But now we get, this is the part that we're really interested in looking at, because this gets explained right out in another chapter fully at what this is trying to tell you. And it's all done in allegory, whereas here it's shown us, again in allegory to a degree, but to a degree it's actually showing us the whole thing. So here it's called the angel and Balaam's donkey, okay? So this is Numbers 22. We'll begin reading in verse 22. And God's anger was kindled because Balaam went, and the angel of the Lord stood in the way for an adversary against him. Now he was riding upon his ass, and his two servants was with him. And the ass, when we look this word up, the ass is a female donkey, and it is a feminine noun, and it says female donkey. All right, that's important. And the ass saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way, and the angel's sword drawn in. It's got his hand, I believe it's her hand, that's the presence of the Lord. And the ass turned aside out of the way, and went into the field. And Balaam smote the ass to turn her into the way, because Balaam didn't see this going on. But the angel of the Lord stood in a path of the vineyards, a wall being on this side, and a wall on that side. Now what else does it say? And when the ass saw the angel of the Lord. So do animals see things that we don't? You better darn well believe it, because this is just telling us that. So, and when the ass saw the angel of the Lord, she thrust herself unto the wall. And she crushed Balaam's foot against the wall, and he smote her. He hit her again. We see this smiting of the rock by Moses, right? The second time when he was told not to smite the rock, but to speak kindly unto the rock, which gives the water, which is she. She says in Deuteronomy, again, we're going to hit on this, 32:18. She says, you forgot the rock that birthed you and writhed in pain to form you. That's she. She says, you forgot about me, and I'm the only God that I know. I've known no other God but me that can do that. And so here we've got Balaam's foot against the wall, and he smites her again. So we see a comparison of the smiting of the rock to him smiting an ass here, which is identified as she. It uses the she pronoun all through it too. And the angel of the Lord went further and stood in a narrow place, where was no way to turn either to the right hand or to the left. So he was supposed to go through this narrow path. And when the ass saw the angel of the Lord, she fell down under Balaam. And Balaam's anger was kindled. And baby, he was mad at this female ass who was bearing the burden. And he smote the ass with a staff, a stick. And the Lord opened the mouth of the ass. And she said unto Balaam, what have I done unto thee, that thou hast smitten me these 3 times? What have I done unto you to cause you to smite me? And you know what Balaam says? This is Baal right here. This is the idol of Baal, truly. And Balaam said unto the ass, because thou hast mocked me, I would there were a sword in mine hand, for now would I kill thee. All the one that's carrying the burden, all the burden of the Lord, the burden of the Lord. Oh, but he's going to kill the one that's carrying him, right? Yeah, carrying this male idol. Yeah, let's keep going. And the ass said unto Balaam, am not I thine ass, upon which thou hast ridden ever since I was thine unto this day? And was I ever wont to do so unto thee? Was I ever this way to you? Have I ever treated you this way before? No, he replies. And then the Lord opened the eyes of Balaam. His eyes finally opens. And he sees the angel of the Lord standing in the way, and the sword drawn, her sword drawn in her hand. And she bowed down her head and fell flat on her face. And the angel of the Lord said unto him, Wherefore hast thou smitten thine ass these 3 times? Behold, I went out to withstand thee, because thy way is perverse before me. What's the perverse way? Man, Baal, as idol, standing as Lord and God, with her at your feet, bearing the burden of the Lord, the children and the deliverance of children. But he's claiming them, and he's claiming to be God, riding upon an ass, the image of Baal. Oh, we see that many times in the scriptures, don't we? Yeah, but we don't draw that connect. And the ass saw me, and turned from me these 3 times. Unless she had turned from me, surely now also I would have slain thee, and I would have saved her alive. And Balaam said unto the angel of the Lord, I have sinned, for I knew not that thou stoodest in the way against me. Now therefore, if it displeases thee, I will get me back again. And the angel of the Lord said unto Balaam, Go with the men, but only the word that I shall speak unto thee, thou shalt speak. So Balaam went with the princess of Balak. So we see the reason all of this was taking place. Balaam was not speaking her words. We identified the presence of God, which was identified as these angels standing as she, female, feminine, the camp of Mahanaim. And she was ready to slay Balaam because he was going on a perverse, crooked way. Right? Now, let's go to Isaiah 46, and we're going to see this explained much better. Baal boweth down. What's Baal? It's simply another name for Baal. Where did the origins of Baal come from? Balaam. What does Balaam mean, or Baal? It means husband as your Lord and Master. What was Balaam doing in the desert? And Balak? They were trying to seduce the men of Israel so they would cast off a covenant with the righteous daughters of Israel, who were known as God standing, presence of God standing on this earth. Yeah, we've discussed it over, so I'm not going to do it. Go pull up some of my other videos if you want to know more. But in this chapter, we're getting it all. Baal boweth down. Nebu stoopeth. Their idols were upon the beasts. They were literally upon the beasts. What's the beast here? It's female. Just like the donkey is female. We got a burden on us. And we're the ones carrying it, like a jackass, I guess, apparently. But she's still trying to deliver him. But his own intent is to kill her. Because he's angry because she's making a fool out of him. No, she ain't. You're making a fool out of yourself. And so here we got, their idols were upon the beasts and upon the cattle. Your carriages were heavy loading. They are a burden to the weary beast. We get this further understanding of what the burden is. And it is the carrying of the children in the womb unto deliverance. And she was trying to deliver Balaam, believe it or not. That female donkey was trying to deliver him. And Balaam was trying to cut her, kill her down. He was threatening to kill her, is what he was threatening to do. But we get it all allegorized over and over again. And in certain passages, it'll explain it right out, but we will not carry it through. We will not connect these ideas together. So they are a burden to the weary beast. They stoop, they bow down together. They could not deliver the burden, but themselves are gone into captivity. And indeed, they have. We couldn't deliver the burden because you know why? Because the burden didn't want to be delivered. The burden turned on us, took a sword out, developed a nice sharp sword. That's allegorical to a word, to a lie, to a covenant of arrows that we see Baal as the archer in Joseph's blessings is where it comes up in Isaiah 49. And they're shooting at the female scions who is actually trying to deliver the men from the wrath of God. And they won't hear of it. Know thee not, thine own right hand can save thee, God says. And she speaks through a female because it is she speaking. And she's trying to tell you something. Quit playing God. You don't deliver children. Let her do what she does best, which is to speak my truth in the land. But you cut her down. You tore her down. You gnashed upon her covenant. You even tore her building out of existence, or her palace out of existence. And the allegory to that is you literally tore our bodies down unto the point where we actually come under him. We're actually using his temple to live through instead of our very own that we had in existence at one time before they chose to tear it down. Now that leads us to another allegory, the house of Bethel, which was known as the house of God. And it also leads us to the house of Ephraim. And why Ephraim is so important. Ephraim is derived from the word ash. So it becomes a house of ash, this house in the forest of Lebanon. And we see her lying as a dove whose wings will be covered in gold and silver as an ash heap amongst a congregation of women that met in the house of the north on the Mount North. In Isaiah 14, the congregation of the Lord identified as women, which is further than identified as the house in the forest of Lebanon that they tore down. They actually burned it out of existence, which was known as the government of God standing upon this earth. And you were to live by her 10 commandments. And number 1, you were to have no other God before you. And here we see the men of Baal actually building up an idol. We see all of the allegory there. And we see Balaam with Balak sending the harlots from the surrounding Adamic nations that surrounded the daughters of Israel like thorns and thistles. They were looking to poison her with a lying doctrine. And they took the men out. That happens over time. And we see that the idol of Baal actually began as the bull Apis coming out of Egypt. We know our poisoning of our waters comes from Egypt. We're actually told this on multiple occasions in the Bible. We discussed it on one of our videos. Which may also be why the Shulamite says what she says. She says, look not upon me because I am black. My mother's sons were angry with me. The false light, she says, the sun has looked upon me. My mother's sons were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyard, but my own vineyard have I not kept. She's too busy keeping Baal's. And so here we got a load, a burden. And it's also going to take us to, I better write this down because I'll forget it. Isaiah 22, when the burden will be cut off of her. So they stooped, they bowed down together. They could not deliver the burden, but themselves are gone into captivity. And we did. We began to wear a yoke, man's made religious lies and laws upon our neck, and we have failed to deliver the children. We have failed to deliver the burden because we have gone into captivity under Baal's lies, husband's lies. That Baal is bridegroom, Lord, and master who washes you in blood. Hearken unto me, O house of Israel, and all the remnant of the house of Israel, which are born, carried. See, now we're understanding why the she-ass is here, okay? Now we're getting it explained better in this entire chapter. So, O house of Israel, which are born by me from the belly, which are carried from the womb, and even to your old age I am he? I don't think so. We're getting the female allegory all around to the womb, to the she-ass carrying the burden of a friggin' idol who claimed he was God and yoked you under him with his religious lies and laws. Still not getting it. And even to your old age, I am she, not he. He don't carry children in his womb. And Baal ain't riding a male. He's riding a female ass who's actually trying to save the burden. Yeah. Which are born by me. And even to your old age, I am she, and even to your hoar hairs will I carry you. I have made, I will bear, even I will carry, and I will deliver you. This again takes us back to Deuteronomy 32:18. She says, you forgot the God that writhed in pain to form you in her womb. That's right, I do that. He don't do that. I know no God that can do that but me. I know not one. To whom will you liken me and make me equal and compare me that we may be alike? Well, guess what? She says, you thought I was just like you. I'm not like you. I'm not like you. I was placed on earth for a very different reason than you were. And it wasn't to bow to you and your lies. They lavish gold out of the bags. They weigh silver in the ballots. They hire a goldsmith and maketh it a god. And they fall down and yea, they worship it. So that takes us back to who's writing the she-ass, which all these idols, Baal. Nebu, I believe, was a name that they gave to Nimrod, I think. It's associated there. It's been so long since I've done the study, I can't quite remember. And we know what Nimrod did. He built up Babylon, the harlot spirit, the bad to man, which meant helping to tear her covenant out of the land of the righteous daughters that didn't bow to man as if he was Lord and God. Because she knew better. She knew her covenant came from her mother above, and that was 10 commandments. And they actually fight to keep it in play, but over time they do lose the battle when mother says, I knew what he was from the beginning. I am going to come off of you. I'm going to give him time to turn back to me. And when they won't, I'm actually going to cut the burden away from you. They're not going to be your responsibility to deliver. She says, don't worry, you'll be no burden to me. We'll go there in a minute. No, we won't. We did Jeremiah 23. We'll do Isaiah 22. They bear him upon the shoulder, they carry him, and they set him in his place. And he standeth, from his place shall he not remove. Yea, one shall cry unto him, yet can he not answer, nor save him out of his trouble. Yeah, they call on a religious law. You know what that is? Baal, who began as a bull out of Egypt. We're going to look at that tomorrow in the video that I'll post to Ruth Abbey. Called called Jeroboam, son of Nebat, and whatever the title's going to be, I don't know, from generation to generation. And we see how it evolved from a religious lie that comes out of Egypt and then shapes into a man standing, Lord and God, your husband, your bridegroom, which is the yoke on woman's neck. It's also the burden that she's been carrying. Remember the former things of old, for I am God and there is none else. I am God and there is none like me. Remember this and show yourselves, men. Bring it again to mind, O ye transgressors. Then it's this verse. Remember the former things of old, for I am God and there is none else. So they try to claim man is Baal. Jesus is the idol standing who's going to deliver the children. They actually tried to claim it was Jesus Christ that delivered them through the waters. And we broke that all down and we showed that as an absolute religious lie that came from Baal. That's right. Who went in to contaminate the woman's seed with the plague of lies, stinging her like a scorpion and poisoning the doctrines of the true living God. Declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. Calling a ravenous bird from the east, the woman that executeth my counsel from a far country. Yea, I have spoken it, I will also bring it to pass. I have purposed it, I will also do it. That could be Mal. That could be Jesus. Because she let them have their way. So there's, different ways to look at it. I haven't looked at it deeply. Hearken unto me, ye stout-hearted that are far from righteousness, ye stout-hearted that are far from righteousness. I bring near my righteousness, it shall not be far off, and my salvation shall not tarry. And I will place salvation in Zion for Israel, my glory. I think Israel is the glory. The daughters of the north kingdom is the glory of the Lord. And that doesn't come from Zion. That came from the north kingdom, from the house in the forest of Lebanon, that they worked to tear out of existence. So that's Isaiah 46. So let's backtrack to 22 right quick and we'll be done. And what does this say? Man died for your sins, you're sure about that? And they shall hang upon her. That's the daughter of Israel, the glory of her mother's house. That's the house in the forest of Lebanon. That's what that house is. The offspring and the issue. Offspring and the issue. All vessels of small quantity, from the vessels of cups even to all the vessels of flagons. In that day. Yeah. Says the Lord of hosts, shall the nail that is fastened in a sure place be removed, and it'll be cut down and fall, and the burden that was upon it shall be cut off, for the Lord has spoken it. So there comes a day where she says, they don't want your deliverance, they don't want you delivering, I'm cutting the burden away. They're no longer yours to have to deliver. We deal in judgment at that point. So verse 24 says they will hang on her, it's not him, the whole burden of her mother's house. That's right. Because it was the mother's house that ruled the kingdom. She's allegorical to the Holy Spirit upon the earth. They didn't want her daughters in covenant, and they worked to gnash upon them, take them out of the land. We've got men like Balaam and Balak and Solomon, who links us back to the number of 666, who was actually trying to take control of the house in the forest of Lebanon when he denied the key of David, which was the daughters of Israel, their rightful place to flow like a living water from Lebanon into what's called the male temple, and to govern the kingdom with the laws of heaven, the 10 commandments of heaven. And the first one was to have no other God before you. Well, you built up an idol, and then God says, but you still don't want my daughters delivering you. You're not listening. You're not having any of it. Understand, there's going to come a time I'm going to cut that burden away from them, and they will no longer be responsible for delivering you. That is when judgment comes. That's what it looks like. So, sorry, I didn't do a great job. I apologize. But it's amazing what you can find if your mind's receptive to it, if it's open to it, if you're open to the Spirit to lead you and guide you in these truths, in these allegories. So again, this will probably be the last video that I post, 8th Day Dawning. Other than reposts that I might post along the way. I did say I wanted to post the other video that I just posted on Ruth Abbey yesterday concerning the symbology that I use to represent this channel, which is the infinity symbol. So I may post that here eventually, but this is probably the last video that I will make. I'm just trying to show you how many allegories there truly is in the scriptures to break down how fascinating and how telling it gets to be, regardless of whether you want to open your spirit, your soul, to receive the true salvation of God. There will come a time when the burden will be cut away from her. She will no longer be responsible for delivering you, and then the judgment will go forth, and she will be permitted to cut you away. But at the same time, God does say this in, right quick, Isaiah 42. Where does it say it? It should be verse 4. Okay, so maybe I got the wrong chapter. I do. Okay, so it's Isaiah 42. God says this, and I think we've come to understand it. Verse 3, a bruised reed shall she not break, and the smoking flax shall she not quench. She shall bring forth judgment unto truth. So the idea there, we looked at it briefly, is that if you're actually trying to understand the truth truly matters, not this pretense of, oh yes it does, I've got to be saved by man and my heart bleeds and all this, foolishness that they set in your brain. Then she says, if you're willing to receive my salvation in the land through my righteous daughters, who I sent with my 10 commandments, and you're just starting to understand. She says, I'm not going to cut you away. I'm not that kind of a God. I'm not a vicious God. But yes, I do have to deal with wickedness in the land. And I think I've gave you many, many opportunities to turn away from the lie and to receive the truth and to search it out. And you have failed to do that. But she says, yes, one day, these daughters of mine that I have sent out into the land, I call them my elect. I am one of them. I'm speaking up for her. And I'm telling you what I'm finding in the Old Testament. And I know I'm one finding it because, again, I know I was going to go. What it says in Isaiah 29. And I know men who refuses to go in and look at the Old Testament. I can't tell you what that means. Well, no, it's so much easier going to New Testament and keep reading Ephesians chapter 5 and Corinthians, where it says a woman must bow to you. And baby, don't they love that? And to preach that a man is everything. And so they can't be bothered with going in and searching for the deeper truths. And that's exactly why it says what it says in Isaiah 29. Right here. Verse 10. Isaiah 29, verse 10. For the Lord hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and hath closed your eyes, the prophets, and your rulers. The secrets has she covered. Is that what that says? The seers. See, I can't see very well. I don't want to put that on. And the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed, which men deliver to one that is learned, saying, read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I cannot. for it is sealed. You know who it's sealed for? It's that little book sealed up at the end of days, at the midpoint, according to what they're trying to tell you in Revelations of the tribulation, 3.5 years. The mystery gets revealed. And the mystery that gets revealed is the sevenfold Spirit in the land uttering what the little book sealed up in this big old biblios truly is saying. And it's the truth in the land. That daughter Israel was the Holy One in the land, and you tore her covenant and her house down. And she was a mighty house. You did not want her 10 commandments and covenant. You did not want her Lord. And so we see the contamination of the woman's seed. We see the pollution. We see God giving the men time to turn back. We see God warning them over and over in the Old Testament. But the reason why the men can't break it is for the sevenfold Spirit, or 7 daughters, is my understanding, representing the sevenfold covenant of God. And they're we see them identified as she-goats or lambs. In Genesis 21, if you want to go look at that. And then by the end, we also see the females identified as a grove standing, a pillar standing. We identified all of that as female that got cut down, torn down, rejected. They did not want her spirit and covenant, and they silence her. And she says, long time have I held my peace. Now will I go forth, and I will destroy, and I will devour at once. I will lead them in pathways that they have not known. And then she says, my pathways got covered over by an admixture of doctrine, a wine that you put to my daughter of Israel's lips, to contaminate the woman's seed with a religious lie that would put a yoke on her neck and cause her to bow to a religious idol, Baal, built up by man himself, because he had so much bloody pride in his heart. And what did the first Adam do? He pointed and he accused her. That's what he did. And from then on, it was nothing but a constant gnashing upon her. And eventually they did. They removed the spirit of her covenant out of the land. But then the Lord awakens as a warrior that's been drunk on wine. That's the admixture of doctrine, the lies. And then she parts the Red Sea and delivers her children, which then they try to tell us is Jesus Christ delivering his children in Jude, which we're going to look at tomorrow, April 21, on Ruth Abbey, when I post my study. And I did make a few blunders in it, but that's okay. I'm still going to let it go. You keep learning. It's amazing how much understanding you get as you allow the Spirit to lead you. And the Spirit ain't going to hold you back. The Spirit's going to let you run when you're ready to. So, thanks for watching. I pray the Lord blesses you with an abundance of truth. And I do hope you all have a really nice day. And thanks again.